in this video, we're going to look at the Cobweb model of supply and demand. The Cobweb model was developed by agricultural economists to help explain the cyclical fluctuations in price of corn and pigs. The main issue is there is a time lag between when a pig is born and sent to the market. If corn prices are low, an input in the production of pigs, there's entry into the pig industry because of increased profits. The increased entry of new firms increases the demand for corn, raising corn prices and reducing the profitability of pigs. As existing pig stocks are sent to market and firms leave the pig industry from falling profits, there will be decreased demand for corn, once again pushing down corn prices. The lower corn prices will spur entry back into the pig industry. So you get this cyclical variations going on. So here is our numerical example. We got the quantity demanded at time t equals 100 minus 2 times the price at time t. The supply at time t equals 10 plus p at time t minus 1. So this is the price last period. T minus 1 means the price last period. So in long run equilibrium, the price p will equal the price this period, which will equal the price last period. So I'm going to get rid of these subscripts now and just set demand equal to supply. So setting quantity demanded equal to quantity supplied and solving for the long run price. We see that the long run equilibrium price is $30. And at $30, we'll plug this back into either the demand or supply equation. I plug it back in the supply equation. The equilibrium quantity is 40. So that's the long run equilibrium. Now let's look at the cobweb and the cyclical fluctuations in this market. So at time 0, suppose the price, P subscript 0, equals $20. Supply decisions at time 1 will be based off the price in the last period. So supply in period 1 will be based off the price in the last period. So taking this $20 and putting it into the supply equation, we see that the supply in period 1 will be 30. When supply is 30 units, our short run equilibrium period 1 will look like this. I'm taking our demand equation and I'm setting that equal to supply, which we found was 30 here. So doing that and solving for period 1's price, the price in period 1 will be $35. And as we stated, the quantity or equilibrium quantity would be 30. So notice this is not really near our long run equilibrium price. The price is overshooting the long run equilibrium price and the quantity is below it. Now let's go to period 2. The supply in period 2 will be based off the price in the last period, in this case period 1. So taking our supply equation and plugging in last period's price of $35, the supply in period 2 will now be 45 units. So in terms of the short run equilibrium in period 2, I'm going to set the demand equation equal to supply in period 2, and as we said, the quantity supplied was 45. So solving for the price in period 2, we get a price of $27.50, and as we stated, the equilibrium quantity is 45 in period 2. So the supply in period 3 will be based off the price in period 2, the $27.50. Taking our supply equation, plugging in the 27.5, we see that supply in period 3 will be 37.5 units. At 37.5 units, the short run equilibrium in period 3 will be found by taking the demand equation and setting that equal to the quantity supplied and solving for period 3's price. Doing that, we see period 3's price is $31.25, which is pretty close to the long run equilibrium price. And as we just stated, the supply in period 3, the equilibrium quantity is 37.5. Supply in period 4 you might have guessed, is based off the price in period 3. So taking your supply equation and plugging in the 31.25 from period 3's price, we see our supply in period 4. Again, this is now getting even closer to our long-run equilibrium quantity of 40. And in terms of the price, we set our demand equation equal to 41.25, the quantity supplied in period 4. Solving for the price, we get a price that is very close to the long-run equilibrium price of $30. So to sum up in a table then, in period 1, the price was $35 and the equilibrium quantity was 30. At the bottom of the table, we have the reference for the long-run equilibrium. And you'll see as we go from period to period to period, we get closer and closer to the long-run equilibrium. Okay, sometimes we overshoot it, then we undershoot it a little bit, and we get closer and closer, and that's the nature of the Cobb web. We're kind of encircling the long-run equilibrium here. So moving on, period 3, we overshoot a little bit. The quantity, we undershoot a little bit. Period 4, we barely undershoot the long-run equilibrium price and just barely exceed the long-run equilibrium quantity. We could have continued this in period 5, period 6, and so on. And as we move through the periods, we'd get even closer and closer to this long-run equilibrium. All right, that's it. I hope you found this video helpful.